All right. Interviewing married couple. Stepdad's on the phone because he's out of town right now on a business trip. All right. What are your names?
My name is Jane Champlin.
Christopher Champlin.
All right. When did you get married?
July 28th,
What year?
2007.
Ah.
Yes.
All right.
In the summer.
That's almost 11 years. So,
Yep.
well, that takes care of that
Yep.
question. How long?
Yep. Almost 11 years.
All right. Tell a story about how you guys met, because that's one of the questions. Is how did you guys meet?
Okay. Do you want me to start?
Go ahead.
Okay. Well, we met at church, basically, at Saints Peter and Paul. And the main time I remember, I was sitting outside on some stairs reading for graduate school, some assignment. And Spencer and Trent were in PRE, and so I was kind of taking that time. And Miss Ann,
You don't have to look at the camera.
I'm not.
You don't want to. Okay.
And Miss Ann came up and said, "You may want to go in. They're having a really nice Bible study class." And so I did. And Christopher was running the Bible study. That's what I remember. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
Well, I remember
Yeah.
talking to you in the PRE building
Yeah,
and all the chaos as we were either dropping or picking off our kids,
right.
picking them up.
Picking
Yeah.
off our kids. Killing them. We were killing them.
Lining them up and picking them off. We're just lining them up.
Here's a snarky statement.
It was because you said picking off the kids. Like we were. Yeah.
All right. You got anything else to say, Christopher, about that one?
What?
Do you have anything else to say about that one, Christopher? About how you guys met?
I'm trying to think
No.
about what else about it. So, and I do also remember that time standing there talking because Trent, you and Sawyer were in the same PRE class. And so that was kind of fun. And so we were standing around, yes, at the end, and we were chatting. And I can't remember if that was before I started going to, the Bible study or after.
I think it was before.
Okay. Okay.
Christopher's a little tired because where it is, he just woke up.
And then it seems like there was at,
Yeah, it's 7 a.m. here.
okay.
Where are
On
you,
Friday,
Christopher?
weekend.
Where are you, Christopher?
I'm in Dubai.
All right. You don't have to hold it up.
So, and then I do remember that, I think we talked a little bit more after, I'm trying to remember, was
Well,
that the
we
year
were-
you guys
we
had
were-
First
we were-
Communion?
I don't know. I just know I would go to Sawyer's, their house to play with Sawyer,
Yeah.
and you and Christopher would chill.
But I remember, Christopher, I think they were doing First Communion because I think, I remember, he introducing him to Grandma. I'm introducing you to my mom at the reception that was after First Communion. You remember?
No.
Okay.
No.
Oh,
Ouch.
now we can't let Grandma hear this. Yeah. It
No,
was,
I mean,
yeah, that was.
I can't.
But we had already met at that point. Like we had already been out a few times.
Christopher's a little sleepy.
So that was a little bit beyond.
Okay.
So I think when we met was a little bit before, like at the beginning of that PRE year. But
Yeah, I think it was in September.
yeah. So then they would have been, that sounds right.
Yeah, I think it was September, October time, and I don't know. Trying to think. So who? I can't do the math right now. I'm too sleepy.
Yeah, that's fine. But yeah, I think they were in the same First Communion, I think. But anyway.
It would have been Spencer's.
Okay, then it might have been. You're right.
Yeah,
Well,
'cause I was
see,
in kindergarten.
yeah,
Because
that's right.
Abigail made hers at OLPH,
Yes,
as did Sawyer, and Trent still hasn't made his.
right. So they were young. That's right. Trent was saying he was in kindergarten. Okay, I think we got that question pretty well covered.
All right, here's one. What have some of the highlights of married life been? Well,
Um, Yeah, pressure. Now you wish you had seen the questions ahead of time, don't you?
Yeah, well, you know what? I could just say wild sex, and then
whoa! Miss Albright's gonna be watching this.
Gosh. Oh. No,
Really?
highlight's a
Tell us
strong
more
word.
about that.
Let's just say, I think highlight is a strong word. I think that,
Just talk about good things.
the highlights are the moments, the moments I remember are like, a lot of it is fun stuff we did with family because we had a very unique situation, I think, or fairly unique, where we had, immediately, we didn't have much time, we didn't have any time without kids because we began immediately with 4. And so most of the highlights are things, to me, were moments when they were all enjoying each other's company and, all that. That to me,
Yeah, like when we were all sharing a room, or like at least me especially.
yeah,
so
yeah,
that was
like
fun.
when we were all together in the Ringgold house, when they were like going on, sliding around the floor on their backs, around in a circle,
yeah.
and I would say that just about any time that we get sort of like got to go to dinner, just us, that would be like a highlight too. Because that happened very, with all those children, that happened more rarely.
Yeah. I mean, in all seriousness, I mean, the highlight of marriage
Don't get cheated.
is having someone that's
Oh.
there to help and support you,
Right.
someone that you can talk to, honestly.
Yeah.
Also having someone that helps you, I don't know how to put it, but make decisions, but also
Yeah.
someone that
Yeah.
even though they're not there, they help you make decisions and help you understand, because sometimes you say, okay, well, maybe I need to think about it this way.
Right. Well, you get to learn to think about things from someone else's point of view in a very close way. I think,
and,
yeah.
And then the other thing is and I use Cecilia Warren Buffett's statement as far as understanding in life is I want everything I do to be something that's gonna make you proud that we're together.
Yeah.
And so, I never want to do something that I would be ashamed that you would read or hear about that would cause you to be ashamed of me.
Right.
And so that's, one of the things that I think is very much a highlight, a nice thing about being married.
Right.
Is that you've got that person in your life that anchors you, keeps you
Right.
grounded.
Well, and
In
yeah.
things,
Yeah. And
because having gone through what we went through as far as married and then divorced, you at least had that, at least probably me longer than you, but I mean, I had a long time where it was just me,
yeah.
and that was, I mean, being on your own, trying to raise kids on your own, that was tough.
Yeah, it's very hard. Well, even little
That was
decisions,
tough.
like, well, should I take him to the doctor, or just talking things out,
Right.
is very hard when you're on your own. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then, but there's been a lot of fun stuff. I mean, there's some, I've got a little highlight reel I can play in my mind of funny things. Usually to me, the highlights have to do with humor. And because that's, to me, the most relaxed and the most memorable are when things were funny. And I think that has happened more as the children have gotten older, too.
Yeah, except for Trent.
Yeah.
Wait, say what? I zoned out. And
Zoned out.
There's no highlight for Trent.
That's right.
like humor-wise,
Yeah.
oh,
Okay.
I'm the only one you have highlights.
He's
from,
got highlights in his
humor-wise.
hair right now. The sun is starting to make his hair highlighted. So that counts.
Yeah.
Oh, how sweet.
Okay.
I didn't choose for it to be that way.
Next question.
All right, you'll like this one even more. What are some of the difficulties that you've experienced in married life?
Well, I mean, so everything that I said was a highlight.
It can be difficult too.
You know.
That's right.
Is also a difficulty.
Because children, and then also having to always sort of like include, other people, another person in your decisions.
The stepson that you don't like, or the stepdaughter
No.
that you don't like.
No. But the decision making.
What did he say?
He's just trying to distract me from what I'm saying. But the decision making can be sometimes, is that what you mean? Sort of like all those things where highlights can also be
Well,
difficult.
I was being cheeky.
Oh, well, I could see that, but to me, a lot of the highlight, and I think for me also being very proud of what we did as far as like getting the kids together. And we talk about this, every once in a while. How we feel really good about the relationships, that they formed with each other. And even though we can't, I guess, take full credit for it, but we feel like, that is something we're very proud of. That's a highlight of it. That's something that I would, put on my resume if you put these things on resumes. I feel like very proud of what we've done. And yet those were also some of the most difficult times. I mean, I remember thinking, are we ever going to talk about anything else except for, how to figure out this one or that one or the problem here?
How to get Trent's behavior under control.
That's right. And they're not.
Why is Trent not, why is he not potty trained when he's 7 years old?
But and they're not.
Those are some really hard discussions and really tough times to have.
But they aren't hard kids. It was just that,
I'm the easiest.
all those things.
I'm definitely the easiest.
So that's what I would say. I mean, luckily, we haven't had any huge struggles. I think, what was the question about struggles?
Difficulties.
I think money's always a difficulty in a lot of relationships, marriages, a lot of families, because it's, whether you have enough or have a tough year, or you have, even as we found, even when you have a little extra, sometimes it's hard to know, that can be difficult and stressful because you want to be responsible with it. You want to do the right thing. So that's kind of a business side of marriage that can really, that requires a lot of discussion all the time. Don't you think, Christopher?
Yeah, and I would say that's probably, the most, it's a very sensitive thing. It's one where I have to remember to be my most polite and my most patient when we're talking about it.
Yeah.
Because of my job and everything I'm used to managing and making decisions, and
Big man.
it's nice in my job I can make a decision and everybody has to follow it. Nobody can really, I'm open and let people discuss it, but
Yeah.
in many cases, if I want to go spend X amount of money on a
chocolate bar,
dinner event or a plane ticket, I go
Yeah.
do it.
Yeah.
I don't have to ask permission, and I don't have to discuss it. And moreover, nobody questions it.
Yeah.
And so when inside the marriage, when we start talking about money, I often, as I said, I have to be much more polite and much more considerate. Sometimes I'm not,
nice.
because I'm used to that autonomy.
Right.
And I'm not used to people questioning things necessarily, or the reality is in work when someone does question a decision, to you have to come off, start the discussion, at a 10.
Yeah.
To make sure you can defend yourself and not get eaten
Right.
by all the wolves. Whereas
Right.
in a marriage, you can't come off. If you start a decision at a 10,
metaphor.
in terms of intensity level, and then it's not.
Right.
It's never going to be a pleasant conversation.
Right. Well, and I know that and the also, I think even with you know, though I don't have a job where I get to boss people around about money, you know, but I did spend several years, you know, kind of like, you know, only managing my own, you know, but then and so that's hard. Even that is a switch, and I think that's something that, like, certainly young people who've spent maybe a few years on their own and then are trying to combine households and all that, they've got to, you know, it can be very difficult. That part can be difficult, even if they're not in a situation where, like, you have some, you know, that your work stuff, but they still have.
Are you looking at the camera?
I'm just looking at the phone. Look at it, Christopher.
Yeah, well, I can say the other difficult thing is really having to manage the visiting and time with all of Trent's special needs friends
That's right.
coming over.
Yeah, all the sleepovers have been a big. We just we go to our room and hide and just complain.
Yeah.
Well, it's not the sleepovers; it's the fact that they're all special needs.
Yeah.
All right,
Ah.
all right. Shall we go to the next
You
question?
talked a long time about the difficulties.
I know.
All right.
We talk a long time about a lot of things. That is one thing that it does take a lot of. I mean,
All right. Okay. Well, we don't have to do this a whole lot longer, but let's see. Let me look at the questions. All right. This is a cheesy one that I don't necessarily want to ask, but like, it's how, like, did you know that the other person let you want to marry the other person? Did you hear that?
Oh, I can say I knew that after our first date,
Chris,
oh,
and knew that
you have to explain it.
wanted. What?
You have to explain why. It's not when, it's how.
I mean, in short, our first date was one where
What was your
I
first date?
think we talked for 5 or 6 hours.
yeah. It was a long.
What was your first date? Because I don't actually know.
Oh, I do remember.
When
Yeah.
was it?
What did we
was
do?
it? Like, because
I remember because he got a flat
What did we
tire.
do? So
We went to-
to dinner
where?
At that
and
some taco place downtown.
Taco Mac,
Yeah.
downtown Chattanooga.
I haven't been there since, but it was fine. But I just haven't.
Screw top.
Well, it was just it was actually intended to be casual because Mom was still in graduate school and she didn't have a lot of time
Yeah.
and stuff, and so it was like, well, I've got this time, so we
Yeah.
did we was it Taco Rack?
I think it was one. It was. I think that's what it was downtown. I don't think it's. It may not even be down there anymore. But it was that. And then we went to see that movie. I think that was the same night we went to see the movie about the, you know, the Burning Ring of Fire dude. Whoever sings that.
Willie Nelson?
No.
I mean,
Johnny Cash.
Johnny Cash.
I get all the folk
All I
and
remember is
country
subsequent
singers
evening,
confused.
I had a flat tire
Yeah.
that I had to change
Yeah.
Lose.
at a place that's now called the Universal Joint.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
It wasn't anything.
There wasn't anything there, but we pulled in there. Yeah, I remember that.
UJ, that's where everyone from Tony's goes
And-
after work.
Uh.
Yeah. We're gonna go to
and-
UJ.
and I mean-
Trey? Sorry.
You know,
Can't.
I remember being very appreciative because I had a flat tire and I was embarrassed
Why would, I mean, you can't.
by
help
it
it.
because you think you're kind of stupid and then you have to change it. But
But I bet you looked cool
I mean-
because you knew how to change the flat
That's right. It was impressive.
tire. Wow.
what?
It impressed me.
Yeah.
Most of my friends don't
Well,
know how
it
to
was
change a
intentional.
flat
I
tire,
actually
but
put
I
the
do.
nail in the tire then.
Was it? You
But it was,
delivered
no.
a slow leak.
But it kind of reminded me cheekily of stories of, I mean, and this is bad, of my aunts and uncles and stories you hear them dating and going out and intentionally, between quotes, running out of gas and in remote locations.
Yeah.
To set up, certain opportunities for making out or
Yeah.
that kind of thing, and that's probably why I was embarrassed because I thought, oh, this could be seen as some type of
Oh, that's
You know,
funny.
inconvenience scam.
Yeah.
But I'm never that intentional or wasn't that intentional.
Yeah.
But anyway, so that was our first date. So we went, and I don't remember the Taco Mac thing. I
Oh,
remember the flat tire.
and that could have
I
been a
don't know
different
where,
night.
It was somewhere downtown.
That's not important.
It could have been another night that we did Taco Mac. I think after we went to Taco
Yeah.
Mac, you invited me to go to Nashville. And you're like, well, this is kind of quick, but you want to go to Nashville to the Christmas thing? So maybe Taco Mac was a couple weeks later.
That was probably our third or fourth
Yeah.
date. But those, I mean, there were several weeks in between, and we talked, I mean, every day, but I just remember our first date just talking and talking.
Yeah.
And, going back to your house and sitting there in PBS, there was something in the background like Antiques Roadshow on PBS, but we, I mean, again, just
Yeah.
I found it very easy to communicate and talk and
Yeah.
So, and I remember talking on the phone quite a bit.
Mm-hmm.
I remember we quickly got into a routine of
Calling each
spending
other on the phone.
afternoons or
Yeah.
evenings at each other's house.
Yeah.
Say,
Um,
wait, I didn't hear it. What did you
Spending
say?
in a routine of spending afternoons or evenings hanging out together. A decent amount.
Spending the night
Yeah.
all the
Yeah.
time.
No, we did not do that.
Yeah, I was.
What?
He said spending the night all the time. I said no, we did not do that. That was very important. And a lot of that's the kind of things we talked about. And when you as you slowly get to know somebody and you start realizing that they have that there's so many of the same. You realize there's such it's just nice to have someone who kind of feels the same way you do about a lot of key issues, not superficial things, but we were sort of. Both of us were older and a little bit more weathered, and so we kind of got right to the key issues, and talked about those. I think,
Yeah, well, and really having a lot of respect for I mean, at least I did, having a lot of respect
Yeah.
for,
Single
Yeah.
mommy.
oh yeah.
I don't know what was the question? I didn't write it down.
What was the question, Tranny? About how you knew that I was the one? I thought it was the light that just kind of appeared behind me every time you looked at me that dazzled your eyes.
I thought
Yeah, that was part of
you
it.
guys were both getting old
That-
and were running out of options.
Trent, did you hear what he said?
No,
He said maybe he thought it was because we were both old, getting old and running out of options. We were not old then. Now, yes, we're old, but then we
How old
weren't.
were you? Like 38? Or no. What am I thinking? You were probably 35.
Yeah,
That-
35,
That's simple
and
math.
30, and
yeah, and I was 39, 38,
Yeah.
39. So
Yeah.
we were both in our 30s.
Yeah.
There, Trent.
We
so
were- we were-
there's lots of options when you're in your 30s.
really, you
When
could.
you're
Well,
18, there's no options.
Christopher, you were 39.
Everyone's
Let's
silly.
not.
That's right.
Wait, what did he say?
He said when you're 18, there are no options because everyone's silly.
Okay. But if everyone's silly, then we have so many options because we're all the same.
Hey, Trenny,
What?
ask us the next question and then run and go get my charger so I can plug my phone in. It's in my bedroom. But ask us the next question so we can be talking.
All right. I'll give you some to choose. I'll give you two to choose from. Choose one. Then I have one more question after that. But make this one brief because
Okay.
I'm tired.
Okay.
You can either do how has married life changed since you got married, or how has faith played a role in your marriage.
Oh, I don't need it. I've got enough. I don't need it. You can stay here.
You have no battery?
I've got 20%. I'm fine.
Oh.
So, Christopher, did you hear the two options?
Yeah.
How has what now? I missed them. I was looking.
Okay. How was your
How
marriage?
has faith played a role in our marriage? And I mean,
Or you could answer, how has married life changed for you since, like, over the course of your marriage? You can pick one.
You were starting with the faith one. Go ahead with that one.
Yeah, because I mean, married life, how has it changed? I mean, it's just evolved as the family's evolved.
All
Right, exactly.
Oh, boom,
I don't think
answered. All
necessarily
right.
life it's changed that much. It's just, you know,
I thought you wanted to answer the
requires
faith question.
management.
Yeah. Exactly. I agree. So what about faith?
Let's answer the fun one now.
The faith one. What role does faith play?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, the nice thing is faith, and I'm assuming they're talking about religious faith
Mm-hmm.
here.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, they are. I am.
But I mean, you know, having a shared faith it eliminates one of those things. Having a shared faith and a shared religion,
Yeah.
and I'll say a similar commitment to that religion,
Yeah.
equal commitment to that religion
Yeah.
is a good foundation for both of us, because it's not a difference. It's not something that
Right.
we have to discuss or compromise.
Well, that's true.
And I mean, the fact that we met at Saints through religion
Mm-hmm.
leads me to believe that God Himself really anointed our relationship and our marriage, because that's where we came together.
Yeah. Well, and I think that
It may be arrogant to think, but I mean,
no, I think that's
you know,
nice to think. I think that you know, when you talk about, I just think that faith guides so much of what we even aren't consciously aware of, but what we're decision making. And like I said, when we really talk through, you know, I think, you know, faith makes you such a very good, you know, such a better person. And so I think it, you know, leads you to be better, you know, a better spouse, better family member, you know.
yeah.
I
Well,
think,
I mean, you know, religion is I mean, and I have the fun of being in parts of the world where Christianity is not the main religion, or places where it's not allowed
right.
to be practiced. And you know, you see that religion is what helps us and what teaches us how to interact with each other. So I mean, again, coming from that same shared common faith, we have the same,
Right.
you know, basic set of some core values that we each share that then dictate how we're going to interact and
Right.
and behave with each other. So a quick side, and I hadn't told you this because it's been crazy
Yeah.
since I've been away, but for the first time, someone asked or attempted to invite me to join the Muslim or Islamic faith
Oh, really?
on Monday night. It was funny. So in Baku, I was sitting there with Gokhan, who you've heard me talk about. I know him for forever. And Ishkar, this Azeri guy who we were there working with, and I just met this guy that morning, and he sits there and says, you know, Christopher has a nice spirit, a nice faith, I like him, and I'm gonna like doing business with him. He's very nice, and I was sitting there trying to decide at the end of the day if I should have a beer at the hotel bar with these two guys, and I mean, I politely asked them. I know Gokhan doesn't drink.
Right.
He's not bothered by someone drinking in his presence.
Right.
But I didn't know the other guys, so I kind of asked the question. I said, you know, is it okay? Are you guys accepting of that?
Yeah.
And then Ishkar said that. I did order a beer and have it. And then he said, wow, Christopher's so nice. Maybe we should invite him to join the Islamic faith. And I sat there for a minute and smiled. It was very nice.
Yeah.
It was nice that somebody would even think that.
Yeah.
And I looked at him and I said, okay, I tell you what, let's start off with studying. So you study Christianity for 3 months, and I study Islam for 3 months,
Yeah.
And then Gokhan said, "Oh, you're too smart." But the nice thing is people appreciate the fact that I have a faith.
Right.
You know.
Which is nice, yeah.
But I mean, it's yeah. So I think religion's been a good foundation for both of us.
Mm-hmm.
So a little side story there. Sorry.
That's okay. Love them.
Sarcastically.
No, I do like hearing it. That's interesting.
Trent's
Rennie?
rolling his eyes.
Is there another? Trini is practically lying down over there. Are there any other questions you have for us, Trini?
This is like, you can make this as brief as you'd like. The last one is just, do you have any advice for people in high school about relationships and marriage?
Oh my gosh. That's the longest response ever.
Okay,
I'm just
well,
kidding.
you don't have to make it.
I know.
You can.
Advice?
So easy.
Maybe you don't
Advice.
have any.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Communicate.
Yeah.
Nice.
Protect yourself and steel yourself from the physical desires and urges,
Pursuits of the flesh.
because that will only cloud your mind and cloud your decisions and cloud your impression of the person.
You don't want to rip fat clouds.
You know, and I can say one thing that Jane's mom said to me when we were dating. That was, I mean, it was actually poignant, but it was shocking. Early on, we were dating, and I said something about, you know, and I can't remember exactly what I said, but essentially I said that she's beautiful and very attractive. And
It's weird. I don't.
and her response was, "Well, I hope I'm more than that, because that will go away someday."
And
Wow.
now we see.
Wow.
Yes,
Now-
it does.
And now Mom said it to me earlier today. Trent, I think I should dye my hair.
What?
Because
Uh-oh.
I was looking at the wedding pictures that we had to get together for this, and I was like, wow, I liked it when my hair was all brown. But yes, it does go away, and that's the thing. And even if you think it won't, it will.
Yeah.
And I heard
And
some.
I'm not saying the attraction, but the fact, I mean, and I think what you were saying was you need to want to be with me for more than
Right.
just my physical, superficial attributes, and there has to be more to that. So,
Right.
I mean, you know, talking to Trent and dating, you know, Trent, there's a great prayer for teenagers.
Christopher says it every night.
You know, and it says, sorry, it's time for me to get up, but I'm going to go back to sleep. One of the lines of it's called the Teen Creed, and one of the lines is to choose a date that will make a good mate. And that's the other thing, is I would say, as you're going into your dating times, okay, you want to, you know, learn, but you need to be intentional with that activity, and not to just superficially date someone just because they have red hair and pink eyes.
Yeah.
You know, and you need to,
Yeah, it's pretty weird.
But yeah.
Pink eyes. If a girl has pink
you know,
eyes,
also
she's
think
having
about
the best
the family.
hygiene.
Right. You know.
People you date.
And this is maybe a little bit of a silly bit of information or advice, but it came from actually Aunt Susan, my sister, and she said, because she was giving some advice to her friend, and she said to pick. She said something about make sure you like his smile. So there's some little, there's a few little things, and it wasn't like in a super make sure he's good looking or anything, but it's just the things that you're going to be, that she just said a few things like that, that really kind of, and I think by that she meant representing where, their kindness, his kindness would be, and I think.
Maybe she should have said, make sure you like his kindness.
Susan is wise beyond her years.
I guess we try to, she would like us to think so. But there was more to it than
She's
that,
still
but I can't remember.
Susan.
But my advice is, I don't know, just make sure that you pick somebody who's really nice and is going to, yes, talk to you and talk through things. And that, even though it seems overdone,
Chris was breathing really heavily.
what really matters is what's on the inside. you know, and that is absolute. Whatever, that is the only thing that matters is what someone's like, you know, on the inside. And
Yeah.
Their internal organs are functioning.
that's right. Make
Well,
sure.
no, you got to make sure they're also competitive. Because I think also a good key to a marriage is having a competitive
That's right.
discussion all the time.
Yeah.
Ah, jokes from Christopher. Never
But
get old.
I mean, you know, the biggest advice is I could give is that, you know, and you know, we talk about it with you know, I probably talked about it more with Abigail than I have with boys, shamefully. But that's only because she's been dating longer. But I mean, you know, I you know, it's there's a lot of excitement when you're dating someone, and it's wonderful, and man, it's, you know, every day is a new day. But you know, making sure that you know where your heart is before you engage the you know, and that there's a commitment, and you know that commitment should be marriage before you engage the physical and the sexual side of the relationship. Because again, as I said, that can cloud your judgment, cloud your decision making, and everything, and leads to, you know, mistakes.
Yeah. Cool.
Nice.
That's good advice.
Too late.
Trent.
What?
Trent just said too late.
I was just kidding.
He was
man.
kidding.
I made a joke.
It's only 23. It's only 11. What?
No, he's saying too late.
11:45
The,
there.
he's saying your advice came too late.
Oh, it did.
Yeah.
So Trinity's got a baby mama that we don't know about.
No.
Okay.
She took the pill.
Okay, let's just stop this right now. Any other wrap-up questions? Are you sure there aren't any other ones you need answered? Because we can answer them.
Right now we are at 30.
I told you. Trent was worried we would.
37 minutes.
He was worried we wouldn't get to 15 minutes.
No, I wasn't worried.
Or
I
he was just saying all we needed was 15
Yeah,
minutes.
but now we're at like 40 minutes.
Yeah.
So it's just like,
All right, thank you very much. Do you want to thank us or something, or should we thank you, Trenny?
I don't know. Do you want to like say anything? I mean, she's probably like, literally, she's not going to sit down and watch a 40-minute interview.
All right.
She's not going to watch this whole thing. She's not going to.
Yeah.
Well, she should, because there's some great advice.